For some of you, it's a single origin pour over from Ethiopia. For others, it's a specialty latte from your local shop. But for most of you, it's the coffee in your hand, the one that your partner made or your boss bought. My boss buys me a lot of coffee. Now let me ask you another question. What's your favorite coffee experience? For some of you, it's when you traveled overseas to visit a coffee farm in Costa Rica. For others, it's when you saw a famous cafe in New York. But if you're like me, it's sitting on your balcony, first thing in the early morning, the warm cup of coffee in your hand, sitting in the peace and quiet. Hi, my name is Sabrina Denham, and today I welcome you to my bar, where we will share some exceptional coffee and experience a little bit of peace and quiet. Now, I'm really excited to show you guys this coffee from El Salvador. It is a Pacamara variety that is natural processed from the Mapache farm. And that means raccoon in Spanish. Now, I will be setting a little bit of beans right here so you guys can look at them later. The owners, Sophia and Giancarlo, are first-generation farmers who bought an abandoned lot, an abandoned farm in the mountains and rehabilitated it into something that would last for generations. Now, this specific coffee was grown on a lot called the Battalion. Due to its rough terrain, extreme winds, and high humidity. Due to its resilience, it's become one of the most productive farms in El Salvador. It is close to one of the biggest national parks, getting over 3,000 millimeters of rain per year, which is 3 times the amount that we get in Oklahoma, where I grew up. Now, please give me just a few moments while I focus on pulling your espresso. Speaking of Oklahoma, I work at Not Your Average Joe. It's a coffee shop that employs people with intellectual, developmental, and physical disabilities, much like my parents who are deaf. More often than not, people with disabilities are pushed aside and ignored and deemed unuseful. Now go ahead and evaluate your crema, but wait for further instructions. One of the main reasons that I chose this coffee is because of how beautiful and thick this crema is. Now these cups were handmade to recreate the mapache farm, that high humidity. I will be asking you to pick up your spoons and stir back and forth 4 times to recreate those extreme winds.
Let's hear it for Sabrina's espresso course.
You will taste black cherry, chocolate covered orange, and graham cracker. Go ahead and enjoy. Now, while you were tasting that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the water that I'm serving you today. It is from Divine Water, which is from an artesian well in northern Oklahoma, from a glacier that was trapped in the last ice age 15,000 years ago. It is one of the purest water sources left in the US. Now, as you cleanse your palate with that, I'll be starting on my milk course. Excuse me. Now, I'll be using a milk from a local dairy here in Portland called Alpen Rose. Darby was kind enough to help us create a 7% fat content to recreate the creamline milk that we use in our shops daily in Oklahoma. I went a little abstract on my art here, unfortunately. Yeah. In this, you'll taste graham cracker, toasted marshmallow, and milk chocolate.
Let's hear it for Sabrina's milk course.
Today, I will be serving you an espresso tonic. I will be putting 80 grams of espresso into a blast chiller. I will then be adding a homemade honey basil cardamom syrup, creating memories of a summer garden party and a walk in the woods, creating new tasting notes of Indian desserts like julep gaman, masala chai, and mint tea. I will then be adding 50 grams of a grapefruit tonic to create a refreshing and effervescent experience. Lastly, I will be whipping an egg white to create depth and a velvety texture. You are. Now, before you drink, please wait. Sorry. In just a moment, I will be asking you to put on these noise-canceling headphones to invite you into the world of my parents, the deaf community, as well as all of those with disabilities. More often than not, we exclude the people that are around us, like this wood in front of us that seems broken, or the people around us that we don't see as equal. But we should make sure that everyone is involved. So I'm going to ask you to go ahead and put on these noise-canceling headphones. And enjoy. Time. Thank you.
Let's give a big round of applause for Sabrina Denham of Not Your Average Joe. That was a very lovely performance
Thank
and
you.
just like really nicely paced and like thought out. Kind of what brought you to like sort of bringing that into your routine, especially like how you crafted kind of your movement from like into the signature beverage portion.
Can you say that again? I'm so
Yeah.
sorry.
No, you just went through such a great routine. Kind of like walk me through like where like you kind of like ended up and like why you wanted to like kind of like really bring a lot of that to the forefront, especially with your like signature beverage at the end.
I think I really wanted to add flavors that highlighted the coffee. The whole reason why I put the headphones on the judges is to just give them a little bit of peace and quiet. And sometimes we can get really distracted by the chaos that's around us. And I really just wanted to create a good environment to where we can feel relaxed and at peace with ourselves.
And I think you really like did a great job kind of like carrying that through, especially with like the message that was part of your narrative in that. And I really like appreciate you, especially starting off your routine with like ASL to like bridge that barrier as well. What kind of like made you want to like even incorporate that just at like the start?
So I grew up as a coda. Both of my parents are deaf, and so ASL was my first language. And I had to go to speech therapy as a kid, and so I'm not very good with public speaking. And signing while I was talking helped me get into a nice flow and be able to be more confident in myself.
Awesome. Well, you have a great cheer section. Is there
Yeah.
anyone you would like to thank?
I would like to thank both of my coaches, Joshy and Tim, as well as everyone at Nayara's show who came to support me today, as well as just my family for coming and traveling all the way over here and paying all that money to just support me and be here for me in this exciting experience.
Yeah, well, congratulations again. That was such a lovely routine. I really enjoyed it. Let's give another big round of applause for Sabrina.
Thank you.